Hi there, my name is D.G. Valdron. This is my attic, and these are my books. Yay, I'm a writer. Um, I'm also a lawyer. And so today we are going to talk about contracts. This is my second contracts video. And in the first one, you should, by the way, go back and watch that one because it's life-changing. In this one, we are going to talk about some of the elements that are in book publishing contracts and what you should be thinking about, what you should be doing with them. So let's go through them in order. Okay? Now, the first thing in a publishing contract, the thing that the publisher wants is copyright. When you create an artistic work, when you write a book, you automatically have copyright in your novel, in your manuscript. You don't have to get it registered. You don't have to send away. You don't have to mail it to yourself in a registered envelope. It's automatically yours. And what copyright is simply the right to make copies. You have control over that. Now, the right to make copies, what does that mean? Well, it can mean taking it down to a printing press and running off 10,000 copies of the book with, all kinds of fancy stuff. It can be putting them up on Amazon for print on demand, or it can be going to Smashwords or Draft to Digital as an ebook. It can include copying in different forms, like a magazine serialization of your novel, or maybe simply photocopying it and selling the pages, on the street corner. Met a guy who did that once. It can include translation of your novel into a foreign language, or it could include adaptation of your novel into the form of a graphic novel, or a stage play, or a television series, or a movie. The idea is always that your artistic work can be copied in any form, in any medium. And this is what you, as a writer, are basically selling. Now, here's the second part. You are not and should not be selling this outright. Okay? There are two things: assignments, where you give it away completely, and licenses, where you give a specific right to selling your work. Now, and as a writer, this is what you should be taking a very careful look at. All right. So you sell a specific right to copyright to a publisher in a contract. Well, what does that involve? Most publishers will want your print book rights, okay, the right to publish a book. Maybe this will include hardcover rights. That should be specified. Ebook rights, that should be specified. But you should be very clear on what rights you're given. Never give away all the rights. At least break down the specific rights that you are granting. And it should always be a license, because the whole point of a license is that ownership ultimately is yours. You're only giving a license to publish a certain number of books. You're only giving a license to publish for a certain period of time. You are giving a license to publish certain rights. The question is, what rights do you give? What do you get for them? And you can be very specific. So, I'll give you an example. Supposing you go to a publisher and they love your book and they want to publish it for you. And you look at their business and their business practices, and they are a very reputable publisher, and they do ebooks as well as print books, but they don't do audiobooks. They haven't gotten into that yet. Why would you give them audiobook rights? If you retain your audiobook rights, you keep those rights. You can sell those audiobook rights to someone else, potentially, hypothetically. Same thing with any other pile of rights. If they have no, offices or branches in Europe or Asia, why are you selling foreign language rights or foreign country rights? If they have no contacts or connections in Hollywood or New York in the film or television industry, why would you be selling those or licensing those? In each of those cases, you'd basically be licensing out rights that they're not going to do anything with, but that you are then unable to sell or market or merchandise yourself. Why would publishers want these rights? Okay, very simple. They're buying a lottery ticket. If your book takes off, and somebody calls up and options it for like a big budget movie, they're not going to, in most cases, really actually contribute much to it. But they'll make bank. A lot of small press publishers, a lot of publishers will try to get as many rights, as many license rights in as many formats from you as they can. And I do have some issues with that. And I think that if you're dealing with the publisher outside of the core rights that they need, the things that they are actually going to do, the things they are actually going to work on, you may have some questions. You may have some concerns. Now, I'm not saying don't give up extraneous rights. Maybe your publisher is planning on getting into audiobooks, and you have a reasonable expectation that if you give them these rights, an audiobook will come out sooner or later. Sure thing. I respect that. Maybe your publisher has no capacity to sell film or television rights for your book, but they're really nice to you. They've published your book. It's out in the world. You want to do them a solid, a little thank you, share in the joy just in case. Okay, I respect that. So it's negotiable. It's something you can think about one way or the other. But what matters is the core rights that you're giving. Now, one thing I'm going to advise you against, and this is never agree to a contract provision that provides for you to assign or license rights for technologies that do not exist yet. And the reason you don't do that is, number one, because it's completely vague and probably unenforceable, and it's very bad practice. But the other thing is that it's going to be a headache because nobody knows what the royalties for brand new or unknown technologies should be. So you can't tell what you're getting paid or how you're getting paid. What is it going to be negotiated, figured out? What? It's nonsense. Don't give up rights for forms of copying or forms of technology that you don't know, that don't exist. Always make it concrete as possible. Okay, so we've covered the copyright aspect, and I'll just repeat. It's a specific right. It can be divisible. You can have North American rights and European rights. You can have English language rights. You can have French rights. You can have paperback rights, and you can have hardcover rights. There's many ways as you can slice it. That's sliceable. And this is the fundamental part of what you are negotiating in the contract. All right, we'll stop here, and we'll go on to number 3.